and welcome to the World Justice Forum's evening of the first day. I'm Nancy Ward, Vice President and former Chief Engagement Officer for the World Justice Project, and it is a distinct pleasure to be here with you all in The Hague and to welcome those of you who are joining us digitally from around the world. Tonight, we welcome some incredible artists to the stage. Artists play a unique and important role in our communities, inviting us to see issues in new ways and to sit for a while with our emotional response to the world around us, both the joys and the sorrows. The arts help us to preserve and honor the history of our ancestral ways of being, to process the complexity and the nuance of the world we live in, and to imagine together the world we want to build. The arts also have the power to bring about cross-cultural understanding, interesting dialogue, and healing. Afghanistan has always been a place of rich cultural heritage, but under the persecution of the Taliban regime, Afghans were deprived of their human and musical rights, with no access to musical education or musical recordings. Beginning in 2010, the Afghanistan National Institute of Music firmly reintroduced music into Afghan society, innovatively using the power of music to transform communities and facilitate intercultural dialogue within Afghanistan and internationally. Through its growth, the Afghan National Institute of Music has played an important role in rebuilding a war-torn country and contributing to the establishment of a just and civil society. However, as the WJP's Rule of Law Index data shows, equal rights and non-discrimination have been eroding in many parts of the world. Afghanistan is no exception, and the return to Taliban rule over the past year raises serious concerns about the future rights of artists, particularly musicians and particularly women and girls. I stand in awe of the resilience of these artists who are determined to preserve their cultural heritage in the face of forced silence, displacement, and flight. Please help me welcome to the stage Dr. Ahmad Nasser Sarmast, founder and director of the Afghan National Institute of Music. Dr. Sarmast? We are honored to learn from you. I invite you to tell your story and to introduce the ensemble and describe the traditional instruments that they'll be playing.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be standing here in front of you in the city whose name is closely associated with the justice. It's important to tell the story of the Afghanistan National Institute of Music, a music school called the happiest place in Afghanistan. A music school which is being called also a beacon of hope for the country. A music school which in the past 12 years have been in the forefront of democratic values in Afghanistan. A music school which has been transforming the life of disadvantaged children of the country, promoting gender equality in Afghanistan through music, empowering the girls and women of Afghanistan through music and music education, building bridges not only between diverse ethnic groups of Afghanistan, by facilitating music making between children and youth of different ethnic communities, where, or through music making, they'll be learning also to respect each other's differences, get engaged in dialogue, and live in peace and harmony. I've never imagined that I'll be standing in front of you once again, and I will be calling on the international community to save Afghan music, to save Afghan musicians. In the last 14 years, I've been always celebrating the return of music back to Afghanistan. I've been celebrating the power of girls and women in music in Afghanistan. We've been making music and sharing the beauty of Afghan music with the rest of the world. But unfortunately, unimaginable happened. Back in 15th of August, when the Taliban returned to Afghanistan, this is the day that once again, the misery of Afghan music and musicians began. This is the day that the women of Afghanistan once again faced the draconian policies of the Taliban, depriving women of Afghanistan and girls of Afghanistan from their every basic human rights, including rights to music, rights to express themselves freely and fairly through music, rights to work, rights to be educated, and rights to educate. A place which has been called the happiest place in Afghanistan today is a base for the Haqqani group. A place which was full of music and happiness and joy today is under the heel of the Taliban. The practice rooms are empty. There's no sound of music any longer. From the day that the Taliban returned, they made every effort to silence this nation once again. And today that I'm talking to you, Afghanistan is a silent nation. Afghan children and youths are deprived from their musical rights. Musical rights. I'm speaking in a place in front of the people who are responsible for the rule of law. People, professionals who are responsible to ensuring that human rights is respected around the world. But I'm here standing in front of you to call on you and to let you know that every single musical rights of the Afghan people are denied by the Taliban. Afghan people do not have the right to listen to music. They are not allowed to learn musical languages. They are not allowed to make music. Afghan musicians are not allowed to make a living through music. Musicians of Afghanistan do not have any longer in their disposals all the venues and means to share their music to the rest of the community. And today when I'm standing here once again, I'm very happy, but I'm also sad. I'm happy that the community of the Afghanistan National Institute of Music has been rescued. They have once again an opportunity to dream, to hope, and to make music. But I'm sad because the people of Afghanistan are deprived of the joy of music. The musicians of Afghanistan are deprived an opportunity to deliver a smile to the people of Afghanistan through music. Yes, Afghanistan National Institute of Music is safe in Portugal. Yes, we are committed to preserve and revive Afghan musical tradition in exile. We are committed to bring music back to Afghanistan. But while I'm standing here in front of you, it's not just music, it's not just Afghan musicians. Today, the people of Afghanistan, the women of Afghanistan, they are deprived of their rights. Every single rights to work, rights to be educated, and rights to educate. And therefore, while I'm standing here in front of you, I would like to call on you, to call in this beautiful city whose name is associated with justice and law, to implore or to demand from the Taliban an immediate release of Afghan journalists arrested by this terror group. I would like to call on you to demand the release of women activists in Afghanistan. I'm calling on you to make sure and demand from the Taliban that the forced amnesty that they promised to the Afghan people and to the former member of the Afghan army and member of the Afghan government is respected and they are not killed, assigned, and also not put in prison. But finally, I call on you to demand from the Taliban to restore the musical rights of Afghan people. By this demand, we will make sure that an Afghan child, by receiving a musical instrument, playing a musical instrument, he's happy and he or she smiles once again. Today, I have a very group of young musicians with me. A small ensemble of the Afghanistan National Institute of Music called Tarannum. This group of musicians share with you the beauty of Afghan music. I'm confident that for some of you, maybe this is the first time that you're hearing an Afghan music and listening to Afghan instruments. Maybe even seeing Afghan instruments, for some of you, maybe the first time. But I call on you to make sure that this is not the last time that you see this group and you listen to Afghan music. Please save Afghan music and musicians today. Please save Afghan music and musicians today so they can sing tomorrow and to share the beauty of music with all of you. Thank you very much for your attention, and please meet the group of Tarannum, made of 4 young, brave musicians. Ramiz Safar, a rabab player. Can you please show your instruments? Ramiz Jan, can you show your instrument, please? This instrument is called Afghanistan, with centuries of history. But this instrument is in danger inside Afghanistan. This is considered to be the national instrument of my country. Iqbal Asifi, tanbour player. Tanbour is another traditional instrument of Afghanistan, which is in danger of becoming obsolete in my country. Fawad Murad is a sitar player. Sitar is a musical instrument shared by the people of South Asia, an instrument which is the result of a marriage of tanbour and veena of India. And Mr. Mohammadi is a tabla player and dol player from Afghanistan. He is playing, again, an instrument commonly used in South Asia. I hope you enjoyed this evening the beauty of Afghan music. Thank you very much.
کابل جانان است که وطن جنت نشان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. هر طرف که میبینم نوای بلبلان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. هر طرف که میبینم نوای بلبلان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. از برفش روشنی دو چشمان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. گوهای پر از برفش روشنی دو چشمان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. این کابل جانان است که وطن جنت نشان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. هر طرف که میبینم به نوای بلبلان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. انجیر تاش قرغانش بادام بامیانش بادام بامیان. انجیر تاش قرغانش بادام بامیانش بادام بامیان. انار قندهار و همایی در کوهستان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. انار قندهار و همایی در کوهستان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. این کابل جانان است که وطن جنت نشان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. هر طرف که میبینم به نوای بلبلان است. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. آزاد افغانستان است، آزاد افغانستان. हे बुलबुल की हमेशा दर सर में नौलदे हे आई जाती गुली तोजा वतर में नौलदे है हर कस की जियार खो کند ناشکریه چند روزی دیگر از این بدتر منالده چند روزی دیگر از این بدتر منالده شوخ سری زلف تو را داب کی دادم چشمی اصلی مست تو را خواب کی دادم دم پشتی خانه تو بخشه انارای باغبان منم باغ تو را آب کی دادم باغبان منم باغ تو را آب کی دادم دیوانه صفت بندر تایم بگدایی من دل به تو دادم تو دانی و خدایی با سر به قدر در نظرم جلوه نمایی تعریف کنم شانه کشم عجب صفایی تعریف کنم شانه کشم عجب صفایی از نقرانگین داری و چار گل دبینی بود گلزار خاله و سر داری حاله و سر داری خالت عجب است من گرفتارم او خوش کنی جادوگر بیا قیمت کن من خریدارم ای به تو امین است که کم بر وفایی ای به تو امین است که کم بر وفایی خوش آمدی یار وفادارم دست گلی شوخ زدم دارم دست گل خیمچه باغ باره میوه داره سیب بدخشان میوه داره سیب بدخشان از دور سفیدی میکنه گردنه مثل گلی گلاب خندیدنه خانه خرابم کرده پاشیدنه قدیمی حالت به خیالم زده روی سفیدت به من غم زده ما به جمالی تو نظر میکنم خالص یادم نداره کم زده خالص یادم نداره کم زده خالص یادم نداره کم زده
Please join me once again in thanking our extraordinary Afghan musicians. Good evening, esteemed colleagues and guests. I am Judy Perry Martinez, the Vice President of the World Justice Project, and I'm here joined at the podium by WJP board member Michael Chu to announce this year's WJP Rule of Law Award and recognize one of the many champions of the rule of law present in this room. The World Justice Project inaugurated its Rule of Law Award in 2011 to honor extraordinary organizations and individuals working to strengthen the rule of law in exemplary ways. This year's Rule of Law Award comes at a time of profound challenges. WJP's annual Rule of Law Index confirms the worldwide deterioration in rule of law, with more countries declining than improving in overall performance for the fourth consecutive year. In making this year's award, the WJP board decided to focus on a grave and complex challenge facing the law and the rule of law today: disinformation. The rule of law requires public access to and trust in information. Information provides the foundation for a common understanding of the laws and norms that bind us all. It is essential to the fair and efficient implementation of the law, and it is required for the effective and just resolution of disputes under the law. Reliable, accessible, and trustworthy information is the oxygen that sustains the rule of law. By contrast, false or misleading information, particularly from official sources, distorts open public discourse and corrupts democratic decision-making. It undermines election integrity and stokes suspicion and hate. Disinformation erodes trust in institutions and shared sources of information. For example, falsehoods about vaccines and medicines have placed many individuals' health at risk, exacerbating the complex political, social, and economic impacts and effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Disinformation threatens human rights, including the right to seek and receive information, and it is too often weaponized against women and minorities, threatening their safety. At the same time, aggressive efforts to counter disinformation can threaten freedom of expression and restrict healthy public debate. In all these ways, disinformation ranks among the most profound rule of law challenges today. And in selecting our 2022 Rule of Law Award winner, we sought to highlight this problem and most importantly, effective responses to it. We understand and we took a global review of organizations and actors working on these issues, and we were heartened to find a growing movement of courageous change makers working to foster honest, fact-based discourse on which the rule of law depends every day. Our winner, whom Michael Chu will introduce, is an exemplary member of this essential movement.
On behalf of the World Justice Project, it is my distinct honor to announce that the winner of the 2022 Rule of Law Award is Regi Wayuri, an extraordinary network of indigenous communicators based in the Rio Negro region of Brazil, in the Brazilian Amazon. We recognize Regi Wayuri for its courageous work in countering disinformation regarding COVID-19 risks and other existential threats that indigenous communities face in the Amazon and around the world. Created in 2017, Regi Wayuri consists today of 55 communicators from 15 indigenous people collaborating to fulfill the right to information and provide a voice for the 23 indigenous people of the Rio Negro in Brazil, one of the most culturally and biologically diverse areas in the world. In this vast territory, Regi Wayuri addresses the dearth of accurate information for more than 750 indigenous communities, making an invaluable contribution to safeguarding their rights and well-being. In 5 indigenous languages and Portuguese, Regi Wayuri produces podcasts and a weekly radio show to provide crucial information on education, culture, health, the local economy, environmental protection, elections, and the right of indigenous people. As Reporters Without Borders has documented, violence against journalists poses major challenges to press freedom in Brazil, with the most vulnerable being bloggers, radio hosts, and independent journalists working in small and medium-sized municipalities in the interior, covering corruption and local politics. In this context, Regi Wayuri combats fake news against indigenous people, fighting against stereotypes, prejudices, and disinformation, often aimed at harming these vulnerable groups for economic and political interests. During the most acute phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, Regi Wayuri's network expanded upon their podcasts and radio show and introduced sound cars to raise awareness of the risks of disease in both city neighborhoods and the countryside. Through Regi Wayuri efforts, the health authorities were able to get critical information about masks and vaccines to particularly vulnerable indigenous populations. Regi Wayuri also has raised awareness about increased violence against indigenous women, and their work mobilized the community to advocate successfully for legal aid services based in the main municipality of the Rio Negro. Regi Wayuri is now working to disseminate information about these legal services to more remote communities. Regi Wayuri also helps maintain the Rio Negro as one of the most pristine parts of the Amazon. Their reporting on illegal mining, as well as the government's ongoing attempts to legalize mining on the indigenous regions of the Rio Negro, has resulted in a lawsuit challenging 33 survey and mining company requests on these indigenous lands. In another case, Regi Wayuri reported on a garbage dump adjacent to an indigenous community that had resulted in closure of an indigenous school due to unsanitary conditions. After its reporting got national media attention, the city was fined for the dump and the school was able to reopen. Efforts are now underway to transform the site into a sanitary landfill and implement recycling in the area. Other indigenous people in Brazil now seek to replicate the network's impact. Regi Wayuri's courage and commitment to provide trustworthy information and thereby build a more just community is a model for us all and deserves our full encouragement and support. On behalf of all of us, I congratulate Regi Wayuri and welcome Marivelton Barroso to receive the award. Marivelton is a Marivelton is a co-founder of Regi Wayuri, a leader of the Bare people and president of the Rio Negro Federation of Indigenous Organizations, representing the 23 indigenous peoples of Rio Negro. He is accompanied by Juliana Radner from Regi Wayuri's partner organization, Instituto Socioambiental, who will provide interpretation. Juliana, a journalist specialized on the environment, has been a partner and advisor to Regi Wayuri since its creation.
Boa noite aos amigos e amigas defensores do Estado de Direito.
Good evening, distinguished colleagues and rule of law defenders.
Me chamo Marivelton Barroso, sou indígena Baré, da Amazônia brasileira, da região do Rio Negro, na fronteira com a Colômbia e Venezuela.
My name is Marivelton Barroso. I am a Baré indigenous person from the Brazilian Amazon region of Black River or Rio Negro, on the border with Venezuela and Colombia.
Nosso povo foi um dos mais afetados pela exploração colonial e pelo impacto das missões religiosas, que perseguiram nossa cultura, nossa língua e nossa espiritualidade.
Colonial exploitation and religious missions persecuted our culture, our language, and our spirituality.
Nós, povos indígenas da Amazônia, somos resistentes e resilientes. Resistimos há mais de 500 anos. Hoje, a população indígena do Brasil vem crescendo e somamos aproximadamente 1.300.000 indígenas, pertencentes a 305 diferentes grupos étnicos.
We, the indigenous peoples of the Amazon, are resistant and resilient. We have resisted for over 500 years. Today, the indigenous population in Brazil is growing, and we number approximately 1.3 million indigenous people belonging to 305 different ethnic groups.
O crescimento da nossa população é resultado direto da Constituição Federal de 1988, que pela primeira vez reconheceu os direitos dos povos indígenas no Brasil, ao território demarcado e à nossa cultura.
The growth of our population is a direct result of the 1988 Federal Constitution, which for the first time recognized the rights of indigenous peoples in Brazil to demarcated indigenous territory and our culture.
É por conta das terras indígenas que a nossa região do Rio Negro está preservada. Estudos arqueológicos comprovam mais de 3.000 anos de presença dos 23 grupos étnicos na região. Vivemos na Amazônia sem destruí-la, ajudando a preservá-la e a aumentar a sua biodiversidade.
It is because of the indigenous lands that our Rio Negro region is preserved. Archaeological studies prove more than 3,000 years of presence of the 23 ethnic groups in the region. We have lived in the Amazon for millennia without destroying it, helping to preserve it and increase its biodiversity.
Entretanto, desde a promulgação da Constituição, não tínhamos nossos direitos tão ameaçados. O atual governo brasileiro é declaradamente anti-indígena e, através de projetos de lei em andamento, no Legislativo vem tentando retirar os nossos direitos ao território.
However, since the promulgation of the Constitution, our rights have never been so threatened. The current Brazilian government is openly anti-indigenous and is pressing for legislation to remove our rights to territory.
Além disso, o governo promove um desmonte de toda a estrutura de proteção ambiental no Brasil, promovendo também uma campanha de desinformação e de negacionismo sobre o aumento da destruição ambiental.
Furthermore, the government is promoting the dismantling of the environmental protection structure in Brazil and promoting a campaign of disinformation and denialism about the increase in environmental destruction.
A Rede Waiuri exerce um papel fundamental através de comunicadores indígenas, produzindo jornalismo local, distribuindo informações verdadeiras, que fazem a contranarrativa às notícias falsas que promovem o medo e colaboram com o aumento da violência e destruição da Amazônia.
The Waiuri Network plays a key role through indigenous communicators, producing local journalism, distributing truthful information, countering the fake news narrative that promotes fear and contributes to the increase of violence and destruction in the Amazon.
O monitoramento das mentiras na região feita através do WhatsApp pela rede Waiuri ajuda a alertar a população indígena sobre como seus direitos estão ameaçados.
The monitoring of lies in the region is done through WhatsApp by the Waiuri network, alerting the indigenous population about threats to their rights.
Waiuri, na língua indígena Nhengatu, significa trabalho coletivo. Além de levar informação, acreditamos que o trabalho da rede Waiuri também traz educação, informação e formação política. Isso fortalece nossas comunidades e nossas ações em prol do desenvolvimento sustentável no Rio Negro.
Waiuri, in the indigenous language Nhengatu, means collective work. Besides bringing information, we believe that the work of the Waiuri network also brings education, information, and political training. This strengthens our communities and our actions towards sustainable development in Negro River.
Aproveito a oportunidade para denunciar que o povo Yanomami passa por graves violações de direitos no Brasil, por conta da invasão de aproximadamente 25 mil garimpeiros ilegais.
I also take this opportunity to denounce the violation of the rights of the Yanomami people in Brazil because of the invasion of approximately 25,000 illegal miners.
A mineração ilegal não afeta somente o território, mas também as pessoas. Mulheres e crianças são as principais vítimas dos abusos. Temos denúncias comprovadas de estrupos e mortes causadas pelos garimpeiros dentro da terra Yanomami, sem que haja nenhuma reação do governo.
Mining harms not only the land, but also its people. Women and children are the main victims of this abuse. We have proven reports of rapes and deaths caused by miners inside the Yanomami land without any governmental response.
O governo fecha os olhos para a crise humanitária dentro da terra Yanomami, onde temos parte dela situada na região do Rio Negro. A rede Waiuri possui comunicadores Yanomami, trazendo informação sobre a situação do território.
The government turns a blind eye to the humanitarian crisis within the Yanomami indigenous land, partly located in the Rio Negro region. The Waiuri network includes Yanomami communicators who play a key role in raising awareness about this situation.
A mineração é um risco grave para a Amazônia e a sua população, jogando veneno nos rios, como o mercúrio, contamina os peixes que são a base da nossa alimentação, afetando toda a saúde das pessoas e da natureza. Diante disso, deixo a pergunta: que democracia é essa que não respeita a sua própria Constituição Federal?
Mining poses serious risks for the Amazon and its population. By dumping poison, such as mercury, in the rivers, it contaminates the fish, which are the basis of our food, affecting our health and the forest. In the face of this, I leave the question: what kind of democracy is this that does not respect its own federal constitution?
Nesse contexto político e social ameaçador, enfrentamos a pandemia da Covid-19 em nossa região. A proliferação de notícias falsas colocou muitas vidas em risco. Os comunicadores da rede Waiuri tiveram a coragem de atuar durante toda a pandemia, produzindo informações verdadeiras e conscientizando os indígenas sobre o perigo da doença.
In this threatening political and social context, we face the COVID-19 pandemic in our region. The proliferation of false news has put many lives at risk. The communicators of the Wayuri network had the courage to act throughout the pandemic by producing truthful information and making indigenous people aware of the dangers of the disease.
Agimos rapidamente para produzir contranarrativa para as notícias mentirosas, inclusive divulgadas pelo próprio presidente da República, contra a vacinação e outras medidas de prevenção.
We acted quickly to produce truthful counter-narratives to the lying news, including those released by the President of the Republic himself against vaccination and other preventive measures.
Esse trabalho deu destaque à Rede Wayuri como um dos heróis globais da informação mundial durante a pandemia da Covid-19, título dado pelos Repórteres Sem Fronteiras em 2021.
For this work, Reporters Without Borders in 2021 named the Wayuri Network as one of the 30 global information heroes during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Destaco aqui os nomes das mulheres comunicadoras, Cláudia Ferraz, do povo Anano, Edneia Teles, do povo Arapaço, Janete Alves, do povo Dessano, e Elisângela da Silva, do povo Baré.
I highlighted here the names of the women communicators, Cláudia Ferraz from the Wanano people, Edneia Teles from the Arapaço people, Janete Alves from the Dessana people, and Elisângela da Silva from the Baré people.
Essas mulheres foram fundamentais para o combate à desinformação, promovendo também a campanha Rio Negro Nós Cuidamos, para arrecadar fundos de apoio emergencial para as comunidades indígenas e ampliação da infraestrutura de comunicação.
These women are fundamental in combating misinformation and also promoting the campaign Black River We Care, to raise funds for emergency support for indigenous communities and expansion of the communication infrastructure in the Rio Negro, which is essential to protecting the rights of indigenous people.
É uma imensa emoção e alegria estar aqui com vocês para receber esse prêmio, importante como representante da Rede Wayuri de comunicadores indígenas. Ficamos muito honrados pelo reconhecimento.
It is with immense emotion and joy to be here with you today to receive this important award and as a representative of the Wayuri Network of Indigenous Communicators. We are very honored by this recognition.
Kwekaturete, obrigado em minha língua Yengatu.
Kwekaturete, thank you in my language Yengatu.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you, Mari Velton and Juliana, for your work and for your inspiring remarks. Truly, that's a tough act to follow. I am pleased to introduce the second half of our arts program for the evening. Alongside bicycles and cheese, which if any one of you know me well, you know that I love those things, the Dutch Old Masters' paintings are perhaps the most iconic cultural aspect that many people know about the Netherlands. However, the impact of contemporary arts and culture should not be overlooked. Celebrated contemporary Dutch design lives alongside vibrant street art, and for centuries, immigrants from around the world have integrated their cultural traditions and ideas into the fabric of this rich multicultural society. In this context, it's easy to predict that a professional arts school dedicated to providing equal opportunities would thrive. Codarts is a Rotterdam-based international university providing high-level professional arts education, from classical, Indian, Latin, and pop music to modern dance and contemporary circus. The university has about 1,000 students comprising 65 different nationalities. The institution is committed to diversity, inquisitiveness, and sustainability, with intensive national and international exchange programs to enrich perspectives and skills. Tonight, we are excited to welcome Codarts students to perform a dance and circus arts program that is based on themes of justice, community, and human dignity. The first performance, choreographed by Wessel Ostrom, is called The Speech, and will be performed by 3 dancers from Codarts Dance, Zoe Irina Salerliano, Gauthier Hemerlin, and Kani Michael Obenga. Film aficionados might recognize the text as Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, set to music by Jimmy Laval. Following this, Not on Hands will perform a piece called Brace for Impact. Britt Timmermans, Mario Kunzi, and Thies Bastien formed this partner acrobatic circus trio after their study at Codarts Circus. Brace for Impact is a piece about working together and building a new and better future.
We have lost the way. Violent. Black man, white. Free and beautiful. Hate. Hard and unkind. Soldiers. Gentleness. Bloodshed. Happiness. Beautiful. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
We are indeed stronger together. Thank you, Codarts. So I have the great pleasure of dismissing you this evening. We'll begin tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for another exciting day of programming, and tomorrow is focused on identifying what works, and will feature our World Justice Challenge finalists. Just a couple of housekeeping. Sorry, just one more thing. Tomorrow evening, as you're thinking about tomorrow, a reception at Amare Performing Arts Center will begin at 17:30, that's 5:30, followed by 2 arts programs at the Film House that Ted Picone described a little earlier today. That begins at 19:30, 7:30 tomorrow evening. And just a reminder that participants must sign up for offsites, including the Film House program, in order to attend. Bring your IDs and a face mask. And I think that's it for announcements for this evening. And thank you very, very much. And I wish you the best evening and some good rest, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.